Hello and welcome to Live at Epiphan. It is Thursday at 3 o'clock, and Dan and I are here to talk about all kinds of interesting stuff. We got some pretty good streaming news this week, I think. And Dan, what is that on your head?
I'm working in VR,
Oh my
George.
God.
Can you just leave me alone in here for a little while? Thank you.
No,
Or join me. Where's your headset?
absolutely not. But
Okay,
more
I'll come back to this reality.
back to
Join you.
reality. Yeah. More on that later. First, we're going to run through the news. But before we do that, feel free to say hi in chat. I got chat open. I'm watching it there. Say hi in chat. Say where you're from. Chime in on the things we're going to talk about.
Yeah,
Because we love
who's
to
here
hear
with
from
us today? We got a couple people pouring in.
you.
Marta,
Marta said, I mean, come
nice to
on.
see you, Marta.
Yeah, I haven't seen you forever, Marta. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a couple minutes.
But yeah, feel free to say hi in there and obviously be engaged with the chat we're going to have. But we got some interesting stuff. I mean,
Yeah, let's go to the lowdown.
yeah,
Cameron, cue graphics.
exactly. Cue the graphics. Cue the. I totally lost my train of thought there. Cue the,
Cue the magic, Cameron.
yeah,
As
the
always.
magic and
The
the
man behind the curtain.
jingle and
Uh,
everything like that.
So we got a big piece of news that rolled
Mhm.
in last week. Frame.io, the ever growing, more and more famous cloud video review platform, has joined forces with Adobe,
Mhm.
and it looks like this is a big deal, like $1.2 billion deal. Adobe, they call it joint forces, but I mean, I
It's an
think Adobe
acquisition.
has acquired them, right?
Yeah,
So
I think that's basically what's happening. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me. That kind of money's chump change to Adobe, so whatever. Um, I mean, it makes sense. It's a great product that I think every single Frame.io customer is probably feeding Adobe with Frame.io. Like it's makes sense. Makes perfect sense
yeah,
to me.
to me, it's just like you can't really have one without the other. Like you need to
Yeah.
review your
Well,
creative somewhere.
especially now, right? When we're talking about remote collaboration for product, for like content creation, everyone, I'm sure Frame.io's business has expanded over the past year and a half. So yeah, I mean, this makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, I just hope they build it into Creative Cloud because I don't want to have to pay for it anymore. Just give me make it bundled with Creative Cloud,
Well, they
one price.
will.
Like if the cost of Creative Cloud has to go up $1,
Oh,
like
it will.
so well, I mean, yeah,
It's
so be
Adobe.
it.
You're
But
paying for it.
yeah, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what synergies they can create. Frame.io put in camera to cloud, so
Yeah.
they're going to be streaming live into their platform as well. So yeah, bunch of exciting possibilities.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Now, again, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see where they both go with this and how if there's deeper integration and bundled services, that kind of thing. It makes a lot of sense.
Another acquisition we were seeing just a few days ago, Shoflo. This is a cloud studio and event rundown software.
Hmm.
They've been acquired by CVENT, one of the big players in the virtual event landscape. So
Yeah.
this is a big deal for sure. What's your take on this, George?
I'm not overly familiar with either, to be honest, but because I just haven't used them. But I mean, again, I think there's a common theme here, right? I mean, we saw hop in stuff and the valuations on that. We see this. We see Adobe Frame.io. I think there's a common theme here we're seeing across all these acquisitions is that there's certain businesses, especially SaaS businesses, I would say, software as a service, that have seen insane growth during the pandemic. Right? It's like I think we've said it a million times internally and on this show that there's a lot of bad things about what's happened in the past 18 months, but there are certain industries that are booming and have seen huge growth and obviously big growth, making money. Acquisitions happen as people try and consolidate things and acquire new technologies to build out their portfolio better. So, I mean, it's interesting. Again, it's one of those things to see like where does this go? What do they do with it? Right? Is this
Yeah.
something where these guys are going to take Showflow and make it just their own and it becomes a proprietary thing, or is it they just want they're going to just have it as a subsidiary and it just keeps doing what it's doing, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a big question.
Yeah.
We some of our members of the team have demoed Showflow, and it's pretty cool. It's, you know, somewhat basic. You know, you're working with WebRTC, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe for CVENTs, you know, users, this makes a lot of sense to just have something as a backstop for your events
Right.
when you want to be able to put together some cameras and switching in a webcam kind of based workflow.
Well,
Yeah,
exactly.
it
And
makes it probably makes a lot of sense for that.
yeah,
And I think we'll probably see a lot of the other virtual event platforms have some sort of basic cloud studio functionality as well.
no, absolutely. And again, it's right now it's all about the money, right? Everyone's just trying to grab up their share of the market, which is a massive market right now. Um, I think a percentage of the market will continue. So I think people grabbing what they can for a reasonable price makes a lot of sense. I don't think we've seen that one acquisition that's just so insane that makes no sense yet. I think they've all made sense. So we'll kind of see where it goes, right? And there's just so many players in this space at different levels for different users, right? It's so
Yeah. Well, as far as seeing what it goes, some people didn't see where this was going. Nvidia revealed that its CEO was completely computer generated in a keynote speech.
lies.
So, yeah, which is, yeah, it's in dispute. So, this is CEO of Nvidia,
Yeah,
Jensen
Jensen.
Huang. He likes to do his keynotes from the kitchen in his home ever since the pandemic started,
If I had that stove,
which,
I would too.
yeah, it is quite the kitchen. It's become quite famous. And in fact,
Yeah.
he's revealed some of the products from like behind the, you know, the spatula on on his countertop, which is, it's pretty cool. So everyone's always looking for Easter eggs in his kitchen now. But this was kind of like the ultimate Easter egg, as they revealed that for a portion of the keynote, he was entirely computer generated, and his kitchen was actually entirely computer generated using Nvidia technology, which is pretty impressive. So let's see if we can find it here. I'll
Yeah.
queue it up, George. But what did you think of this? You see this?
Well, I mean, I think those of us in the know, the ones who were, kind of into this kind of tech, were maybe laughing or disappointed by how little of it was actually computer generated. On the same token, though, Nvidia got what they wanted out of it, right? They got a ton of headlines out of it, even if the headlines were definitely clickbait, pretty much lies, because it tried to imply that the whole thing was CGI, and it wasn't. It was a tiny portion of it. And of course, the real tech nerds have been kind of calling them out on that a little bit. But we also understand why the whole thing wasn't, because that's just immense amounts of work and compute time and money. Um, so it's kind of, props to Nvidia. They got the marketing they wanted out of it. So good job to them on that. But it's not nearly as impressive as it actually sounds in the headlines.
Well, it's still like, you know, it's I think it's cool that you can, much like we predicted, like we call it the deep fake, but
Yeah.
everybody did get deep faked here, for even if
Yeah.
it was only a few seconds. So
Exactly. Yeah.
kudos to Nvidia for that.
And I mean, this doesn't help you to be able to, I don't know, buy an NVIDIA GPU at any point for a reasonable price. They
Yeah.
still can't seem to produce enough product for the demand. And so, but, and their acquisitions don't seem to be going very well. So I think, again, I think certain portions of this were great from a marketing standpoint. They got what they wanted out of it, and it's cool.
Yeah. But I don't think anyone else is making leaps and strides to
It's not
put
world
their
changing.
CEO in CGI.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
this isn't gonna blow the whole CGI CEO world wide open, like this might.
well, you know, speaking of CGI CEO, how about VR CEO? This is Mark Zuckerberg trying to, you know, pump the tires on Oculus, really, on head-mounted displays for the work world.
Yeah.
And here we see he hosted some kind of boardroom meeting where, oh, there he is, looking very Zuckerberg-like.
I can't tell the difference between that and real life Zuckerberg. Looks the same to me.
It's pretty similar. Yeah, it's pretty similar. So this is Horizon Workrooms. This is Facebook's newest Oculus product.
And for those who
It's
don't
just
know,
an app in Oculus. What is this?
yeah, so for those who don't know, Facebook purchased Oculus years ago, much to the disappointment of many people in the tech industry. And most recently, their newest versions, the Quest 2, actually require you to log in with your Facebook account to even use it, which was also much to the disappointment of everyone in the tech world. But this is what they want to do with it, or one thing they want to do with it beyond gaming, is they envision this idea of a virtual work environment in VR. I mean,
Okay, so like you and I, we need to meet to discuss our plan for the next live show, and rather than
right.
meeting on Zoom, we throw on our Oculus Quest and pop into like a whiteboard room or some
That's the idea.
collaborative space, right?
That's the idea. Yeah. And you know, I can understand that. Obviously, you know, during the past year and some, everybody's collaborating remotely in all kinds of different ways, whether it's Zoom or Teams or whatever you might have, and or some people even do it through Facebook Workplace. This is kind of an evolution of that, or at least where Facebook thinks it's going.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I can see some advantages and disadvantages. I mean, I think kind of the advantage is you get to avatar yourself. So like, I don't know. Do you get Zoom fatigue, George? Sometimes
No,
I do. You don't?
I
You're
just
used
I
to
do
it?
it so
You
much
just
I just don't care anymore.
yeah, I guess you're always in front of the camera, aren't you?
Yeah,
But a lot of people do get Zoom fatigue.
for
And
sure.
maybe this is an alternative to needing to be presentable on camera at all times during the working day. Because I can, you know, that's the other thing is like I have to use a room in my house to
Yeah.
like create this environment that's appropriate for work. If I'm just throwing on a headset, now the space that we're gathering is no longer my house, right?
Right.
Like maybe there's some advantage there. I think the disadvantage is people don't like being in and out of VR
You know, and I think that's
too rapidly, right? Like it's you
right.
really have to commit to the stepping into a VR environment. And like how do I don't know, have a sip of my coffee if I can't even see the cup on my reality desk, right? I don't know.
Yeah, and you know what? And this is the perfect segue. What really grinds my gears about
Oh,
this?
oh, George's gears are being ground out. Cameron Q graphics.
You know what? What honestly, what really does literally grind my gears on this is, first of all, not everyone can use VR, and I include myself in this. The current generation and previous generations of VR tend to make some people, myself, it seems to be people named George, but it tends to make people motion sick. They feel ill. And this is a problem of refresh rates and frame rates in the rendering of VR. I do not own a VR system of any kind, partially because they're too expensive. And even the Quest 2, which is one of the cheapest ones on the market, I'm sorry, I'm not spending $500 so I can go into that silly virtual meeting. And also,
What if your company paid for your headset?
okay,
Like
but then I'm going to be
if they
sick and
supplied you with a headset?
I'm going to put it on for 10 seconds and feel sick. It doesn't make sense. And then on top of that, you were talking about Zoom fatigue. You're telling me that wearing this bulky headset all day in VR isn't going to make you fatigued? I mean, man, I wear glasses. I get annoyed just wearing glasses, let alone a VR headset.
But you can have the sense of presence with your colleagues, George.
I don't, I mean,
Yeah.
I want to go back to the office. So maybe this just isn't targeted at me to begin with because I totally respect other people have different opinions of various things. I want actual human FaceTime. And if I can't have actual human FaceTime, then I got no problem with Zoom. You know, I don't need this weird VR thing, which to me, again, it's like these horrible looking kindergarten drawn avatars. That doesn't appeal to me at all. Like that just,
Yeah.
it's just not
You know
really
what?
my
I've
thing.
tried similar experience though, in a casual environment. This is from PlayStation VR. It's called Rec Room, and it's just
Hmm.
like a place you can hang out with your friends. You could like have a virtual campfire. Maybe you could watch a Netflix show together, and it feels like you're in the same room talking to each other about the show. So,
But do I?
and and then
you know,
here's a virtual sports bar. Go hang out with your friends at a sports bar, shoot some virtual pool, hang out. People need to connect somehow. Yeah, I guess maybe it doesn't work for you, but like some people don't experience
That's
the
fair. That's
nausea,
fair. Some
right?
people don't, but
So
as Mathieu points out in chat, even if they don't experience the nausea, even if they just wear glasses, it might be problematic. These headsets
yeah,
are
true.
not widely compatible with glasses wearers, which is a substantial percentage of the population.
Yeah.
And also, is this something that we're expecting? Again, I can understand maybe even people younger than I am being interested in adopting this, but people older than I am, I kind of doubt it.
Yeah.
And so what we're gonna is now another ageism barrier to exclude people from types of work because they don't want to wear a VR headset all day like that. It just doesn't. It seems bizarre to me. I just don't get it. I don't think VR is mature enough. Now, if we were talking about AR, augmented
Okay.
reality,
Okay. And let's take a look at some of those solutions. Here's this is on Fast Company. Move over Zoom. This magic interface is the future of video conferencing. And
right?
here you see it's some sort of what did they call this? Argo design. It's a concept called Square. It's an artificial window created from an LCD screen that goes on the wall next to your desk. When you raise the shade, you can see a coworker or two working right there next to you. You can
Right.
strike up a conversation or ignore them. You can gossip or hold a productive meeting, just like a real office. And in here, it almost looks like
A
there might be
mirror.
some like
Yeah.
a little bit of motion tracking or something
Hmm.
happening here to give the sort of sense of perspective into
Right.
the other colleague's space.
And
So, would you see yourself possibly doing something with this
yes, to me, this
as an
is much more
alternative?
appealing because, first of all, you just close the shade, right? Just like closing a shade on your window. You don't want your neighbors peeking in, you just close the shade, right? Same kind of idea.
Yeah.
Um, to me, it's more natural. It can be out of the way. And this is obviously one variation of AR, but so yeah, I would find this more appealing. What I think would be even more appealing, and maybe this is still future-ish. But looking at the way Microsoft was working with HoloLens, right, which is not a real product yet, but some of the concepts they had around that were, yeah, it's a headset, but it's more like glasses than a VR box on your face. And there, certain apps, you could just place items virtually into your augmented reality. So if I needed a TV like this because I'm talking to you, Dan, I could just throw it on my wall, which normally has my pictures on it, and it just virtually occupies that space. And when I don't
Mm-hmm.
need it, I dismiss it. Or if I want to watch Netflix, I just throw it on the ceiling while I'm laying in bed or
Minority
whatever.
Report style.
Yeah, like that type of augmented reality to me makes a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Partially because the thing with VR is when you got that box in your head, no reality comes in. But with augmented
Yeah.
reality, I could still go around and do my normal thing. I can look at my keyboard, I can drink my coffee, I can, all of those things are still totally normal and natural. But
Yeah.
I can still have all those digital elements, right?
Yeah.
So,
I think that I could see something like that working because, I mean, everyone's
speaking of
clamoring for
coffee,
more monitors now, right?
well,
Like you
that's the
need
other thing, but we're
to
also
have for the amount of
complaining.
information that we're trying to ingest and share.
Right,
You know, I've got 3 monitors now. I've just
right.
recently gone from 2 to 3, and it's a big difference. Even
But
that, not everyone can do that though. It's not
But could you
practical.
imagine just having your desk against a wall and you just make one giant, like 120-inch virtual
Yeah,
display through AR? That's way cooler,
absolutely. I
more
would love to
power
have no
efficient.
monitors on my desk and just be
Exactly.
at a desk, and with space around me and not feel like I kind of feel like I'm in VR right now almost
Exactly.
because like it's similar. I have like 120 degrees of my field of view is full with digital
And I
screens,
think,
right?
and
So
I think what drives me a little bit nuts about this whole Facebook thing is, we also saw today that Facebook is actually working on AR as well. They put in some filings to create their own AR glasses. So it's like, is this workspaces thing going to be AR compatible? I kind of doubt it because it seems like they're going full on into that VR space, and I
closed
don't.
VR, yeah.
And on top of that, there's better uses for VR, in my opinion. And again, this is another thing specific to the Facebook Oculus Quest 2 is that there is a game out there called Space Pirate Trainer. um, and there's an update coming to that where when you're using the Quest 2 VR headset, you can, in a large open space, multiple people can basically just play VR laser tag, which is what VR was always really about. Let's be
For
honest.
games, yeah,
And
and experiences.
yeah, and like that's cool. I mean, I still would get sick playing it, but it would look, and that's where I want VR to live. I want VR to be that. For business, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Well, I guess we'll see how it plays out.
I also just don't think what they've developed there looks very professional. That's just my
Yeah. Oh,
opinion.
these glasses. This is AR
Well, no,
glasses.
the
Right?
AR glasses look interesting. They look like HoloLens, so they look exactly the
Yeah.
same thing. But I mean, looking at the Workspaces VR thing, the Horizon Workrooms stuff,
Yeah.
that avatar looking stuff, that doesn't look professional to me. It looks just janky. Like that would not make me feel professional operating in that environment. So I'm not about
I
it.
think that's fair. Fair
And as Marta
criticism.
pointed out, where are the legs? What's going on here?
Yeah. Where are their legs? They're just
Where are their
floating.
legs?
Yeah. I guess legs starts to get too weird when you're doing that. But
Does
anyway,
it? But
well,
that
you're
I'm not for it. I'm not for it. I'm out. Maybe I'm getting old. I don't know. I'm not for it.
well. That was quite the rant, George. And let's take a little break from the grinding of gears and let's head over to the kitchen.
Sure. Go relax and have some more of my coffee in the kitchen,
Yeah.
which is delicious coffee, by the way. So down in the kitchen, what are the things? What have you heard around the office, Dan?
We got a new blog, a brand new blog, Zoom NDI, how to use Zoom Rooms NDI to support live video production.
And this is a cool
and actually,
one.
this is really awesome. If you have a Zoom room, you can now turn it into like a mini production studio where essentially you can now, take some of those Zoom sources and convert them to NDI and go right into your Pearl. So, your Pearl can be like a video production extension of your Zoom room. And here we have a great video on the blog where Cameron walks you through how to do this. It's actually super easy. So kind of see here, you pin a few NDI sources right in your Zoom room. He's doing that here. And then in the Pearl Admin UI, you're going to see those sources pop up in your NDI sources. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All of a sudden, you can take your, Zoom branded gallery boring production, add some graphics, add some cropping, some switching, much like we're producing this show here today. And you can do it all in a Zoom room, which really simplifies things if you, need to quickly ingest remote sources, remote guests.
Yeah. So this is an amazing blog. If you or someone you know is struggling with ways to improve your usage of Zoom from a video production standpoint, and Dan, you and I both know there's a lot of people who need a lot of help improving their Zoom production quality. This blog can help you. But not only that, we basically did a webinar based around this blog in a lot of ways, or carrying on with this blog last week with some friends of ours from PTZ Optics and JBNA. So, you can check out that webinar. And that was a fantastic webinar. We had some amazing interaction on it. And again, brought in some real experts about NDI and Zoom to kind of, give you all the information you could possibly want to know about this. So that's, go back and check that one out if you're interested in this. But the blog is an amazing summary to get your appetite going, and to use as reference material. Um, but speaking of webinars,
Yeah, nice segue there, George. You beat
perfect.
me to it this time.
LTTstore.com. I mean,
Cameron, Q graphics.
yeah,
Yeah, we've got a couple webinars coming up actually, and you can find them right on the Epiphan website if you want to register. So coming up on September 1st, SRT streaming protocol for remote video production.
yep,
Let me show you here. And then on September 15th, we have another one coming. It's not
posted yet. But
posted yet. You'll watch for it soon. You'll be able to register, and we're going to be
yeah,
talking about hybrid production.
yeah. So that one's going to be
Hybrid
really cool.
events.
The SRT one is one we did a version of this once before, and we had a lot of viewers and a ton of engagement, a lot of great questions. So really appreciate everyone who shows up to these and engages with us. It makes my job as a presenter in some of these webinars so much better to be able to engage with everyone. So, but yeah, that one's really interesting. Again, just trying to give you some ideas and some education on some of these things. And I think that one on the 15th is going to be really good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So September 1st, come hang out. You can always catch up on them after the fact too, if you can't make it
Yeah.
during the webinar itself.
In some more
Another thing.
product
Sorry, go
related
ahead.
news. Yeah, I just wanted to cover some product news
Oh, right,
because
right.
this is one that a bunch of people have been asking about. And we'll have a video going live about this in not too long. But there's a firmware update that will be coming in the next week and a bit for Pearl Nano. So, any of you Pearl Nano users in the chat, there's a firmware update coming, version 4.14.3. And the biggest thing here, there's some just minor maintenance things, but one of the biggest things is the ability to do dynamic scaling in the layout designer, just like the bigger versions of Pearl with Pearl Mini and Pearl 2 will be there in Nano. We know a lot of people have asked about this, so it's getting put in there in this update. That'll just make building your content that much easier and faster. So look out for that. It's nothing too huge. It's mostly that and a few other things, but I think based on people's requests for this, it's a lot of people are going to be pretty happy about that update. So keep an eye out for that in the next little while. And of course, follow along with all of our different things and social channels, and we'll make sure it's announced. And if you've registered your products, obviously you'll get an email notification of when it goes live.
Yes. And just a little tease. We do have a new issue of Evolution Magazine that to keep your eye out for soon. The fall issue will be available soon. So if you want to make sure to register for your free copy, you're going to be able to do that on the website. Here's our spring issue of Evolution. This magazine is just awesome in terms of sort of projecting where we see live video and where we see trends in the future of video happening. So make sure to watch for that. It's going to be coming really soon. And
I read through the sneak peek. Man, I'm actually really excited for this issue. Like I read through the sneak peek and I was just blown away at the job that our writers have done. In the articles that are in there and all the different, there's so much good info in there. It's I'm really stoked on it. I really can't wait for people to take a look at it. And if hopefully some of you will actually receive physical copies at some point for VIPs, I suppose.
If you want a physical copy, if you're watching this show, let us know. info@epiphan.com.
I can't wait to get mine. I mean, I just want my own physical copy. Let's be clear. I can't wait until that shows up. But I think it's going to be a great one.
Yeah, well, I'm really looking forward to people getting a chance to see that. So,
yeah,
I think that about wraps it up for today, George.
It does. Well, I was going to scan through the chat here because there was some pretty good chatter going back and forth here, and I think I ignored a little bit of it. Tim Trott
we have Tim Trott here again, and Sonoga. It's great to see you both once again.
I think Tim was mostly agreeing with me on the VR stuff. What's the benefit of VR? The wow factor lasts for about 20 minutes, unless you're me and you don't even make 20 minutes before you hurl. Uh, you know,
We do have a question here from, is it Salak Colver? Any hope for NDI coming to Pearl Mini? What's the word on that, George?
I
Roadmap?
hope yes. I for sure no. I mean, it's a cross your fingers and hope. Not to go too deep into this because I think I did talk about this a little bit in another webinar or show. I don't remember. But there's a certain amount of that that's out of our control in terms of the efficiency of NDI running on that hardware. Um, Basically, we need the NDI SDK to be able to leverage hardware in decoding, which it does not currently. So until NDI fixes the SDK, we're kind of handcuffed a bit. So we work with them. We talk to them frequently. We had some hopes that maybe NDI 5 might crack that. We're investigating that. I haven't seen the results of that yet, so I can't say for sure. I wouldn't hold your breath, but we're always looking at it. If we can do it and it will run well, we would. Like, that's all I can really say.
I think that's a very fair answer. So thanks for that.
We're not going to do it if it's going to run like garbage. Like, that's the
That's
reality,
just it.
right?
It's got to work, right?
If it's yeah, it's got to work. Otherwise,
and in the
there's no point.
meantime, Pearl 2, it works really well.
Exactly. Now, the other thing I will note is, of course, Pearl Mini does support SRT. So if you're using cameras that support SRT as well, that can be a workaround if you want. There are more and more PTZ cameras, for example, coming out that support SRT streaming. So that's another way around doing it. I know it doesn't solve some of the NDI workflows like the Zoom Rooms or, titling stuff, but it can work with cameras that support SRT as well. So if that's all you need, then I would check that out.
That's a good piece of advice there. Check out SRT. Maybe you can find a way to make that work as a workaround.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
very cool. So I guess we'll be back in about 2 weeks.
Yeah. And of course, check out those webinars. Make sure you get signed up on the website for those. Check out the back catalog of webinars. There's a ton of information there. If you have any questions or comments, you can obviously throw them into the chat right now, or you can always send us an email to info@epiphan.com. We'd love to hear from you. And make sure to like, follow, subscribe in all the places: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the things, all the places. And saw a bunch of things in chatter there about Sonoga streaming to Instagram from a Pearl. I think that's going to get some people digging into stuff there. So maybe in the future we'll have some content to talk about on the best ways to stream to Instagram with a Pearl. I mean, that sounds like fun to me.
Yellow Duck and Program generate a stream URL and key, which
sense. And I know he's mentioned Yellow Duck before. I think in one of our webinars, I did look at it very, very briefly back then. Got distracted with something else, so we'd have to go back and look at that. I think the general thing is, so the funny thing with Instagram is it does use RTMP, but it doesn't reveal that to the user through Instagram. So there has to be something that basically looks at the bigger code and extracts the URL and key information, which is, from my impression, all Yellow Duck does is extract that and present it to you in a copy and pastable manner. And then it kind of works. But we'll have to dig a little deeper into that if people are interested. So send your feedback if you're interested in learning about how to stream to Instagram from a Pearl. That's something maybe we can dig into and see how that goes. But otherwise, thanks, Dan. That was great.
Yeah, thanks, George. It's great to hang out, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. We will see you soon. Bye-bye.
Cameron, cue graphics.